It's a new year, and we all have new goals. One of my goals for 2023 is to make a major dent in my TBR list. A TBR list is a to be read list, as they say in the book community on social media. According to the Storygraph, which is the book tracker app I use, I read 74 books in 2022. That's a little lower than normal for me. I had a lot of things eating up my time last year, including launching a brand new mastermind group and grieving my beloved dog. So my goal for 2023 is to stretch myself just a little bit and read 100 books by the end of the year. That's about 8.3 books per month. But here's the catch. I want most of the books to come from my enormous TBR list, which right now has 167 titles on it. Now, these are all physical books that I have purchased and are currently sitting on my bookshelves gathering dust. In my defense, some of these books I have read before, but it's been so many years that I doubt I remember anything from them. Thankfully, I've got a handy-dandy tool that will help me take a chunk out of my TBR list. It's the Life Editor Reading Challenge Worksheet. This printable worksheet is absolutely free in my editor's toolkit. Click the link below to sign up to get this reading challenge, plus dozens of printable worksheets, ebooks, video workshops, and much more. The Life Editor Reading Challenge has 30 prompts to help you read more books while you edit your life. It follows my 5-step life editing process, and you can learn more about life editing by joining my Life Editing for Beginners program, and I'll leave the link below. Okay, I've got my TBR. I've got my reading challenge. Now, all I need is a creative way to choose the books I'll be reading. Introducing the Wheel of TBR. If you follow book reviewers on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, or any social media platform, then you're familiar with the Wheel of TBR. Many book reviewers use this fun tool to choose the books they'll be reading every month. I'll leave the links below to some booktubers that you should definitely check out. As I mentioned in my recent planning pajama party, I purchased this prize wheel to add a bit of fun to my life. And I'll leave the link below to the exact prize wheel I purchased so you can get yours too. You will definitely be seeing my prize wheel in many videos this year. I covered my prize wheel with scrapbook paper and washi tape to give it a little pizzazz. I took the 30 prompts from the Life Editor Reading Challenge and I wrote them on these paper circles. I shuffled them and randomly chose 10 prompts and added them to the wheel. I'll give the wheel a spin and then find a book from my TBR that matches that prompt. I'll choose 5 books every month from the Life Editor Reading Challenge, and I'll pick a few extra books for my TBR that I personally want to read. I'll be reading 8 to 10 books per month, and that will ensure I'll reach my goal of reading 100 books in 2023. Ready to kick off this Wheel of TBR? Let's go! The first prompt is perfectionism. I am filling the empty spaces with the remaining prompts as we go along. Time for book number 2. Writing journal prompts. Book number 3. A book about an ambitious woman. Book number 4. A book with a year-long challenge. All right, the 5th and final book. A book about hobbies. So the 5 prompts from the Life Editor Reading Challenge that I'll be reading in January 2023 are perfectionism, writing journal prompts, an ambitious woman, a year-long challenge, and hobbies. Now that I've got my 5 prompts, I'm going to dig through my TBR, make my selections, and I'll be right back to share the titles with you. Hey there! If you're new here, allow me to introduce myself. I'm Sage Grayson, a former book editor turned life and business coach. I'm a life editor, and so are you. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss any of my videos to help you get stuff done while still having fun. All right, let's do this, Life Editor. Here are my 5 books from my TBR for the Life Editor Reading Challenge. The first prompt was perfectionism, so I'm reading The Perfection Detox by Petra Kolber. I am type A, high-strung, very anal, so I could probably use a perfection detox. The Perfection Detox is a breath of fresh air for anyone familiar with self-doubt or self-criticism. In her compassionate and inspiring guide to recovery from perfectionism, Petra turns the best insights from positive psychology into practical strategies for living your best life. Perfection not required. Let's see if I'm a whole new sage next month. The next prompt was writing or journal prompts, so I chose The Very Short Story Starter for Creative Writing by John Gillard. I might do a lot of writing for my videos and blog posts, but I still firmly consider myself more of an editor. And I'm certainly not a story writer, but I figured this book will help me get out of my comfort zone. For the time-crunched writer or anyone who wants to squeeze a little creativity into the day, flash fiction is the perfect storytelling outlet. Flash fiction is an ultra-short story that can be written on your morning commute or in the time it takes you to finish your coffee at the cafe. Short and sweet, we like that. So the whole book is filled with prompts and plenty of space to write your stories. I'm not going to write 101 stories for this challenge, but I think I can probably write 5 stories this month from this book and count it as a win. The next prompt was to read a book about an ambitious woman. And though I didn't find that type of book specifically, this one book really jumped out at me. The Ambition Decisions: What Women Know About Work, Family, and the Path to Building a Life by Hannah Shank and Elizabeth Wallace. So instead of a book about one ambitious woman, I'm reading a book about hundreds of ambitious women. Each chapter draws on real women's stories of facing down crisis, transition, and decision-making to illustrate broader trends. And the chapters cover career, marriage, parenting, economics, and change. I do like learning from other high-achieving women, regardless of whether they have the same lifestyle as me or the same career. The next prompt is to read a book about a year-long challenge, and I chose A Year of Living Biblically by A.J. Jacobs. Now, I have read this book before. In fact, I've read a lot of books by A.J. Jacobs. This book was published in 2007, and just so you can understand how long ago I read this book, the sticker on the back is from Borders Bookstore. Remember Borders? I loved Borders. I'm a Buddhist and I was raised in an atheist family, but I love reading about how other people relate to religion. I remember this book being really funny as the author tried to live according to the Bible despite all of the stuff that contradicts itself. All right, and the final prompt for my Life Editor Reading Challenge was to read a book about hobbies. I chose Future Boards by Sarah Centrella. This is all about making vision boards, which is definitely one of my hobbies. I'm hoping to get lots of tips and tricks so I can make better, more effective vision boards in the future. Those are the books directly from my Life Editor Reading Challenge, but I can't stop there. In order to reach my goal of reading 100 books in 2023, I have to add a few extra books to this month. So I dug through my TBR and I chose anything that really spoke to me. The first book I chose is JOMO by Jessica Misner. You've heard of the fear of missing out. This book is about the joy of missing out. And specifically, it says 350 plus ways to make staying in more fun than going out. As I mentioned in the Planning Pajama Party, my word of the year for 2023 is fun. And I realized, despite my tagline of get stuff done while still having fun, last year I just wasn't having a lot of fun. So I'm hoping this book brings the fun back into my life. I quickly realized that I wasn't reading any novels this month. I don't read a lot of novels to begin with, but this is a challenge, so I'm going to challenge myself. I chose Last Chance Library by Freya Sampson. It's about books! I gotta love it! Lonely librarian June Jones has never left the sleepy English village where she grew up. Shy and reclusive, the 28-year-old would rather spend her time buried in books than venture out into the world. But when her library is threatened with closure, June is forced to step out from behind the shelves to save the heart of her community and place that holds the dearest memories of her mother. Sounds like a Hallmark movie. Most of the books that I read are business books or self-development books, but let me know if you have any favorite novels to recommend. And to get a little spiritual at the beginning of this year, I'm reading Tea and Cake with Demons, A Buddhist Guide to Feeling Worthy by Adriana Limbach. If I wasn't a Buddhist, I would probably have like 10 stomach ulcers and chronic migraines all the time. I'm so high-strung and anxious that I really have to make it a point to meditate and calm myself every single day. I like that this Buddhism book focuses on worthiness because that is also something I struggle with. I have several videos on my YouTube channel about dealing with haters and trolls. When you put yourself out there on the internet, you kind of open yourself up to negative comments. So it's even more important to remind yourself that you are worthy and you do have value. Next, I'm reading How to Be Fine, What We Learned from Living by the Rules of 50 Self-Help Books by Jolenta Greenberg and Kristen Meinzer. Now, these lovely ladies host one of my favorite podcasts, By the Book. Every episode, they choose a self-help book and live by the book. I'm excited to read some of the behind-the-scenes secrets and learn the strategies that they actually stuck with. And my final wild card pick to really change it up, I'm reading a graphic novel. I'm reading Miss Butterworth and the Mad Baron by Julia Quinn and Violet Charles. For those of you who don't know what a graphic novel is, it is basically a big comic book. Julia Quinn is an author of the Bridgerton books, which is now a series on Netflix. Last summer, as my dog was dying, I lost all desire to read self-development books or business books. It was honestly horrific taking care of my dog as she was dying, and I was doing everything possible to lessen her pain. And I needed to take care of my mental health too. So for the very first time in my life, I started reading romance books. I had never read romance books before, but I liked Julia Quinn's Bridgerton TV series, so I thought I would read the books too. And I love them. They're light and breezy and super cheesy. Exactly what I needed during that very difficult time of my life. And I continued reading romance novels even after my dog had passed. So Miss Butterworth and the Mad Baron is a book mentioned in the Julia Quinn novels in the background. So some of the characters will be reading this book and they'll be like, oh, what a terrible romance novel. So Julia Quinn and her sister Violet decided to make a graphic novel based on that fake book in the Bridgerton series. Julia Quinn wrote the story and her sister Violet did the illustrations. One thing that makes this graphic novel extra special is that Violet Charles was killed by a drunk driver before this book was published. And Julia Quinn worked to get the graphic novel published as a testament to her love for her sister. So I'm very excited to read this one. That's it! Wish me luck as I conquer my TBR list and the Life Editor Reading Challenge for the next few months. If you want to start your own reading challenge, please be sure to click the link below to sign up for my free Editor's Toolkit. You'll get dozens of printable worksheets, including the reading challenge, plus video workshops, ebooks, and my recommended tools and resources. Click the link below to get it all for free. Want more? Watch this video next to watch my self-help book challenge, where I let old white men run my life for 2 weeks.